Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and thank you all for being here and for providing great insights on this important subject. General, thank you for your service. Welcome back. It's nice to see you again. I'm interested in the fact that 25% of our young people, 17 to 24, are eligible, and you listed academic preparedness, obesity, and criminal records as the three. And I'm guessing, where does obesity fit into that, and how is that changed in the time that you were in the service relative to those other factors?
Well, on the first point, people are disqualified sometimes for multiple reasons, so it's a little hard to pin down exactly what percentage is due to overweight or obesity, but it's about 1 in 5, better than 1 in 5 of the disqualified applicants are attributable to overweight or obesity. The change is dramatic, of course, over the course of my service. I became a second lieutenant in 1964. It was a very different country then, and obesity was not nearly the problem that we have today. I can't give you the number, but I would guess it was below 10% were rejected from service because of their weight.
Well, and you said 1,200 a year are discharged because of that. Is that when they're discharged, we assume that when they came in, they met the weight requirements, and then, what contributes to that while they're in the service? How do they?
I think most of them were borderline when they came in, and of course we feed them very well. Right. We exercise a lot, but we offer a lot of food, and sometimes it's due to other factors. They've consumed so many sugary drinks rather than milk and too few vegetables, so their bones are brittle, and we wind up with it's both a weight-related problem and a diet-related problem. So they suffer fractures, serious sprains, whatever. But there's a lot of issues with those, and every time we have to discharge one for these problems, we spend about $75,000 to go recruit a replacement and train them. To the tune of about $90 million a year.
Let me I could direct this to anybody on the panel, but just what can be done to encourage parents to do a better job, take more responsibility for providing healthy, nutritious meals for children? I mean, people have kind of harkened back to their younger days. When I was growing up, I grew up in a small town. We didn't have a school lunch program, so everybody either went home or they brought a sack lunch to school. We fortunately lived close enough to the school that we would go home, but my parents both worked, and somehow my mother managed to get up in the morning and get something for us for breakfast, and then put something in the oven for lunch. And it's a very different world today. But what can we do to encourage, better incentivize parents to complement the meals that are provided at the schools and ensure that our kids are getting the nutrition that they need?
I can speak on that topic from the standpoint of I've yet to meet a parent that doesn't want to try to provide the basic necessities, as we've heard. And feeding and sleeping are probably the most important things to a parent of a newborn. And it's really important to craft that message and think about that message very early. We're even looking at and seeing research that it's at the time of conception and during pregnancies when mothers are planning what they're going to do for their child, where they sleep, how they feed, if they breastfeed, a number of things that go on that actually sustain those behaviors very early. So it's really important to understand, and when I say parents, unfortunately this does become much a burden of mothers because of their role. So I think it's really important to understand that identifying these issues very early at the health of pregnancy can be one of the early windows to try to identify where parents feel is normal and not normal, what is really healthy versus perceived healthy. And we've hit on history a lot here, and I find that very important. And one of the best advocates I've often found is when grandma's in the room, because that can be a great resource for the family. Unfortunately, many of the families I see, not really the traditional nuclear family, very disconnected, and may not have the same type of social support and social structure that can give that type of beneficial anecdotal evidence. And I think it's important to understand the evidence is very difficult to figure out in kids because you can't do a research study in a child the same way you can in an adult. They're a protected population. So it's using history, using families, and in this case, providing those resources at really critical times. And in infancy and childhood, getting families to adopt these behaviors is really an important time because it can imprint these behaviors throughout their lifetime.
Do you think that we put too much by incentivize? I mean, is it a disincentive to parents when you increase the number of meals and parents start shifting that responsibility to the schools and say, well, the school's going to take care of that?
I think it's a really important balance to try to strike because the parents are assuming, and parents do have a respect for the school to protect their child. And so I think it represents that balance of they're assuming that it is the right thing that's being done there. And as we've had parents engage schools around the PTA, around school wellness policies, they become very concerned and shocked when they're actually in there seeing what's available. So I think it's a balance of the responsibility of the parent as well as the school, and that's why having parents involved in the process actually is really moving this forward very well.
Okay. My time's expired, so thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you all.